Shiny, shiny, plastic, black mirror fascist, obsessed capitalist. Are you feeling guilty Catholic? Pretty, picturesque Facebook status. Happy family and happy marriage, like the magazine pages. Superimposed with Photoshop and happy faces. Where cancer doesn't exist and your daddy lives for ages. And the black babies with the swollen bellies are only moments on your telly until you switch it off and put your makeup on. So walk your dog vegan and put your makeup on. Posing, perfectly pouting and put your makeup on. Hypocrite, selfie, snowflake nation, not making a difference. Not voting, not independence, cause it's irrelevant to how your hair grows. You're pretty, and it's a pity that you're prepared to perpetuate your particulars on Instagram and prefer not to educate and overcomplicate an avocado. Like you know the answers to the problems of this world. Meditation and mindful. How about realistically having kids to feed on minimum wage and suicidal without letting your wife know? Cause I don't kill myself for fashion, not a psycho for the sake of it. Hate the name of it, really ashamed of it. I hate your glossy, double tongue, so in circle, talky, trashy magazine. Like Sebastian's dreams, your friends are just all plastic, and it's lonely out there. I don't care about your implants or artificial intelligence, agony ants, chitty chat irrelevance, designer shirt and pants. So keep on spending, goodbye pretty people. It's such an ugly ending, keep pretending, keep on telling yourself that you're so important, like everyone else, like everyone else, like everyone else. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty. Fight for your rights. But you die to lose.
Goodbye, pretty people, I'll miss you. All your little giggling and self-serving circles, self-absorbed, oh shallow surface, all that fucking money and totally worthless, in entirety distractive. A life without purpose, your embodiment is everything wrong. Emboldened by a Harvey Nicks arrogance, echo chamber, industrial multiplier. Factory line features and adjusted plastic artifice, cosmetically cybernetic immortality activist agents. Away with your moisturizing skin armor nonsense, swigging beard lotion against a Georgian backdrop. One sleeves tops are a symptom of civilization in decline. Beggars rocking £100 trainers with metallic shell toes. Designer baby accessories with perfect lips and a pre-birth sense of what looks fucking fabulous. It's ridiculous, marvelous, purebred, beautiful offspring of the embassy. Laughing at the wannabes that think that greed is power. The hours tick by and all you want is everything endless. You are now living in the culture with a locust consumer. Target population, proof of fashion, housing, online grooming saloons. Pretty predator class, deadly privilege picking flesh in the populace fast. The terrorist victim look is this year's heroin chic. Superior models to snap them pop-up bomb sites. Popping prescription antidepressants, propping up debris arranged in artistical splatter patterns. Little ray of ignorant exception at the tipping point. You drag to the ground by the teeth of natural selection. We defecate upon your form, prone upon your back and bleeding in round the scissor man. Snicker, snack. Your entrified empathy, ultimately empty, dead heart, pretty face, piss upon your memory.
Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people, pretty people. Pretty.
What is up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another Sleuth Intuition Live. Basically spent the last 2 days putting some breaking true crime news together. Everything you're going to see tonight really was something that happened over the span of about 3 days. There's some interesting cases, some interesting situations. Once we go through that, we're going to look at 2 cold cases that have recently been solved, and then we are going to take a look at a third. So let's get right into it.
A Lamarck man charged with murdering his wife and on the run for more than 8 months is dead. Authorities say Trent Paschal killed himself after law enforcement found him in Florida on Friday. Adam Bennett tells us what happened.
We got confirmation from authorities in Marion County,
100
Florida,
times
that's
more
just north of Orlando.
than I'll
They tell
ever
us they
need.
got a tip that Trent Paschal
But I
was
will
at an
use it.
RV park there. They say when deputies asked the person inside of a van to come outside, they heard a gunshot. Authorities say those deputies entered the van and found Paschal dead inside. They say it appears he shot himself. Paschal was charged with shooting and killing his wife, Savannah, inside their Lamarck home in October of 2020. After bonding out, U.S. Marshals say Paschal then stole an SUV at knife point from a car salesman last April. He had been missing ever since. Anna Paschal's father, Michael Kinchin, spoke at a Crime Stoppers press conference last September.
This man killed our daughter. He abandoned his 2 children, 12 and 7. My wife and I both are now raising our grandchildren.
That press conference was announcing the launch of a new program to catch murder suspects on the run. Kenshin told us then that Trent Paschal had bonded out of jail multiple times. I reached back out to Kenshin this morning to get his reaction to this latest development, but have not yet heard back. Back to you.
So if that's going to be the first story I play, you can only imagine what else I found. And I mean, I could have gone on for 6 hours of content. Just went on and on. I mean, have you ever typed in body found in wooded area and then put in the last 24 hours? It will give you nightmares. Don't do it. I'll do it, and then I'll show you a couple of them that aren't so bad. But let's keep it moving.
Information released today out of Jefferson County in a case with a lot of twists and turns. The Sheriff's Department says they are still looking for this man, 36-year-old Jerry Crew. He's been missing since April. They went to a Cedar Hill home looking for him over the weekend.
Yeah, make yourself
That's where
at home.
a deputy was shot and tonight is still recovering in serious condition. News 4's Julia Avery has been tracking new developments since the story broke first Saturday morning. She's live tonight in Cedar Hill.
Yes, Samantha, that's right. Investigators went to the home here in Cedar Hill looking for Jerry Crew, and they ended up finding the body of a female. I spoke to several neighbors in the area who say they're not completely shocked to hear that.
Been on the radar for a very long time. It's very frustrating.
Deja Lip shares the same frustration as many others News 4 spoke to on Lake Drive in Cedar Hill. Jefferson County investigators say Anthony Leggins has been on their radar for some time, and when they approached his home for a missing persons case on Saturday, they were met with gunfire, which left an officer wounded and Leggins dead. While investigators did find a body in the home, they say it was not the person they were looking for, Jerry Crew, and that missing person case continues. Investigators will only say the body found in the home was a female, and while they have not yet identified that woman, Deja Lip believes it's her friend Tanya Gold, who she says was in a relationship with Leggins.
He was just a dark soul. I've never met anybody that seemed so dark. I only met him one time. I was only around him one time, and I was terrified.
Deja and Tanya's mother believe Tanya was trapped in a domestically abusive relationship. Now they want to bring awareness to seeking help.
We're going to be sad about it, and we'll always miss her, but we'll never forget her because she was light, she was joy, she was just full of life. And that was taken from her and was taken from us, and I want the darkness to be overcome by light.
Don't stay frozen, which is what somebody just told me. Don't reach out, as difficult and annoying or embarrassing as it may seem. People care more than I think when you're in that situation you realize. People are there to help.
Yeah. So she was missing for a minute. So I haven't spent too much time on these cases. I wanted to I did my best to ignore them. I want to watch it fresh with you guys and get your opinions on what's going on. There was one that I couldn't help it. I had to look into it further, and I may do a follow-up story on it. That is going to be the last news report that I'm going to show tonight before we get into some of the news on the cold cases. And it was pretty terrifying. So we're basically watching it, for the first time together. And like I said, this is all new. This stuff is all fresh. These tragedies are happening across the United States. Oh, thank you, Grizz. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I appreciate you the comments too. So let's keep it going. I don't want to stay too long. Kind of want to blow through it because I want to spend more time. One of the press conferences, I think it's about 12 minutes long. So I want to make sure we can get to that.
This is just simply terrifying. A Knoxville mom says that a wanted sex offender broke into her home while her children were inside. She says she found the man wearing nothing but a pair of shoes she had bought her daughter for Christmas. Erica Lunsford shares what the mom is now doing to keep this from happening again.
I came home expecting to get in my house like normal, bamming on the door, telling my daughter, open up the door.
While entering her home last week, Daphne Crowley was greeted by an unwanted visitor.
She finally opens up the door, and she and I both realized that there's some guy standing in our apartment, just standing there with no clothes on.
That's when Crowley says this man here, 27-year-old Michael Tyler Henniger, who was a wanted sex offender, ran out the patio door. Crowley then jumping into action, trying to stop him.
Chased him with these sticks, because had I got a hold of him, I was going to beat him. But he ran down the street back into the pathway.
Once KPD officers arrived on the scene, they were able to find and arrest Henniger in a wooded area near Crowley's apartment. They found several of Crowley's belongings. She fears this wasn't the first time the sex offender was in her home.
Because when they found him, he had stuff that I knew I had bought and had been looking for. He took my grandkids' toothbrush, toothpaste, Christmas stuff that we put in stocking stuffers. He took my daughter brand new Jordans. I'm like, if he had asked me, I would have gave him some food.
For now, Crowley has the couch placed against the door until she can get an alarm system. Thankful nothing happened to her daughters. This mother says she will be praying.
I'll pray for him because that's just the type of person I am. I will keep praying for him that he gets help.
In Knoxville, Erica Lunsford, WVLT News.
Did you guys see the part where she was holding them sticks up in the air? And she was like, I was chasing him. I was going to hit him with these sticks. I was like, man, I like this lady. Oh, thank you, Ophelia. Ophelia is new. She came in just to kind of check things out. So everybody make sure you treat her well, show her some respect, and kind of welcome her. This isn't always what you're going to see over here, Ophelia. It's just something I do every once in a while. Go over some news, but usually I'm covering the Delphi case and things pertaining to that, which I plan to do. But 2022 is going to be a little bit different for me. I feel like there's a lot of things changing behind the scenes with that case. So I've been able to kind of rest easy, knowing those things are happening. But yeah, we're going to keep it moving. Like I said, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I really wanted to show these press conferences, or these pressers, so to speak, about the cold cases that were solved. They are a little bittersweet, but still good to hear when they're able to get some closure. Talk about true crime. It's all we talk about. It gets so dark, but we forget to celebrate. When that closure comes and those families can kind of rest a little bit easier. But take a look at this one. This one is extremely interesting. I actually covered this one briefly, I believe, just a few days ago. This is more of an update. So take a look at this.
Prosecutors are adamant that Jeremy Goodall's case should be tried in adult court. In a newly filed court document, the state resists moving the case to juvenile court and paints a vivid description of what led up to Noema Graber's death. Prosecutors say Goodall and Willard Miller, both 16-year-old students, watched Graber's pattern of life before ambushing her along her daily walk and dragging her into the woods on November 2nd. They then returned later to hide her lifeless body. Authorities say Graber suffered trauma to the head. Her body discovered under a tarp, a wheelbarrow, and railroad ties in a nearby park. Since her death, a memorial keeps growing outside Fairfield High School for the beloved Spanish teacher. Hundreds gathered on November 9th for a heartfelt memorial service.
She wasn't just a teacher for me. She had helped me through a lot of struggles.
As the community grapples with her death, there is still no motive revealed for Graber's murder. DCI officials did say early on it was not racially motivated.
And both teens have pleaded not guilty and want their case turned back to juvenile court. A hearing to decide that won't happen until late January. Until then, they remain behind bars, both on a $1 million bond.
Dang, $1 million bond. So these guys right here, they stalked their Spanish teacher, killed her, and then they just covered her body. Nobody will notice. No big deal. I'm like, what? I just don't understand. How far? See, I can understand when there's one person who's mentally ill and they kind of lose their grip on reality, and they lose control. That's one thing. But when you got two people sitting in a room, both functioning, and they come up with the plan to kill their Spanish teacher, like, instantly, I got to know more. I got to know about their background. What type of home life did they have? What were they watching? What were their interests? I got to know what the hell could cause these two guys to sit in a room and plot this. It's just so crazy to me.
We're adamant that Jeremy Goodall's case should be tried.
Sorry about that. All right, let's keep it moving. I found this one extremely sad. Just the way the family we're kind of describing this young man. So that's your tearjerker alert.
In the life of a friend, a brother, a classmate, 18-year-old Amara Jones' body was found 3 days before Christmas.
KSHB 41 News reporter Leslie Delasport spoke with friends, teachers, and parents who say the community just has to do better.
Lighting a path to justice.
Man, he didn't deserve this. He was just finna graduate. He just turned 18.
For their friend, 18-year-old Amara Jones.
My life not gonna be the same without my little brother.
real life of the party. He had his own style, everything. Own person, uplifted everyone. Anytime he stepped in a room, everybody loved him in Raytown.
The music-loving, goofy teen went missing earlier last month. Friends crying out for answers, comforted by a teacher and a parent who wanted to help.
He was missing, and we don't know exactly when he was missing, and things aren't right, and he was gone, and people were really worried, and it didn't make sense. Someone needed to figure out why he was gone, and the kids need to see that someone actually cared enough to say this is not going to be another statistic.
Searching nonstop until December 22nd, only to find out the soundtrack of Amara's life came to an end.
The day we found Pooter, it was real hard to see one of your closest friends, your brother, just to see him there lifeless. It hurts. It hurts.
Now a new year and new memories to be made without their friend.
It's definitely going to be hard going through the hallways and looking through the memories, hanging out with him, seeing the same people and all that. I do have a class with him too, so that seat going to be empty. It's like it's going to be gone forever.
These kids say they want to set the tone for the community, that someone cares, and blood doesn't make you family. Love does.
This is not just going to be written off. Like, this is not the way we're going to do this anymore. This is the way our community is going to work. We're going to be there for each other, no matter who it is.
And this is just some tragic that happened to a young kid that wasn't into nothing but being himself.
In Kansas City, Leslie Delasport, KSHB 41 News.
Yeah, when that one guy said, oh, I share a class with him, and I'm going to have to look over at that empty chair. Oh, man, that brought up some really horrible memories of some friends. You know, when you lose your friends or, you know, or somebody that you spend time with, and there's always something there that reminds you. But, yeah, something about him saying, looking at that empty chair, it just reminded me of losing a friend of mine as well. It was pretty bad. All right. Well, we got one more piece of news for you, and then we're going to jump into an unsolved cold case. A gentleman by the name of Bishop Robles. So if you guys are familiar with that, I try to cover things that not a lot of people are looking into. Try to do my little bit to bring some attention, you know, to those cases that aren't really getting that much. So let's take a look here.
Tonight, a missing persons case is now turning into a homicide investigation. Right now, there are still many unanswered questions surrounding the death of a 41-year-old man who went missing on New Year's Eve and whose body was later discovered in the desert. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karima Devine.
And I'm Mark Curtis. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is investigating but has not released many details. Team 12's Colleen Sikora is here now with a timeline of what we do know.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says it was a little after 1:40 in the afternoon on December 31st. They responded to reports of a body found in the desert off I-17 and Table Mesa Road. Days later, they'd confirm it was the body of Ben Anderson. But the mystery surrounding his disappearance and death starts with New Year's Eve plans.
Nothing was unusual.
Plans that friends say Ben changed just an hour and a half before they were supposed to meet.
At 8 a.m., Ben called me and had canceled.
But as December 31st went on, Daniel Stahoviak says by 6:30 p.m., family and friends noticed Ben hadn't contacted them. So he went to Ben's home near 7th Street in Maryland.
His car was gone when I got there.
Daniel says cards and cash were left on the counter.
What struck me the most is that there was a wet towel on his bed. And Ben is very clean and tidy in his home. He would never do something like that.
By 7:30 that night, friends and family reported Ben missing and called Lexus to see if they could GPS track the car.
They could see the location, but they wouldn't release it to us.
Daniel says Phoenix police, who did have the GPS information, went to the Super 8 off the 17 south of Dunlap.
Police officers called us. The vehicle wasn't there, had already moved. We went to the Super 8, there was a carload of us, and looked, nothing there.
20 minutes into the new year, Daniel says they're now on the 4th floor of the garage at the Sheridan Phoenix Crescent.
There was his car, backed into a spot, 3 people around it. Ben wasn't with them.
Daniel says they followed them.
They came back out, turned left, going the wrong way on the frontage road. Obviously, it's now becoming very dangerous, so we stop.
Calling 911, Daniel says Phoenix police came to try and find the car, but didn't have any luck. Hours of searching later,
Lexus then told us, after begging, that the vehicle was now offline.
around 4 a.m. New Year's Day, Daniel says they discovered the Lexus in the parking lot of UEI College.
His car was found here, destroyed, burnt.
Leaving questions of what happened that led to Ben being found dead 30 miles away. Questions still unanswered. We asked Phoenix Police and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for more details. They would not answer our questions. Colleen Sikora, 12 News.
So this is unfolding. So what it appears is possibly a catfishing. That's what I'm thinking. This gentleman dropped all his plans. I think that was his boyfriend. I'm not sure. Dropped all of his plans, ended up at a hotel, and they jumped him, or they somehow set him up at his home, and they eventually ended up at a motel. I'm not sure, but whatever he was doing, he dropped all of his plans, his New Year's plans, and this is unfolding. The friends and family actually tracked these people down, and when they were getting ready to confront them, they went the wrong direction on a busy highway to lose them, and they were able to get away. And then when they found the vehicle, it was burned. So you got to be careful. Yeah, Zen, how you doing? Yeah, dating catfishing. Yeah, you got to be careful. Especially those dating apps. It's like, have we not learned anything? Well, I wish it was a carjacking, but they burned the car. So. And one thing that struck me was, I don't know if it was his boyfriend or his friend. He said he found a towel laying on the bed, basically saying like he has OCD and he would never leave a wet towel on his bed. That's just something, I wouldn't even do that. And I don't have OCD. I would take it off the bed and throw it on the floor. That's more my style. But so it could be they got him at the house. I don't know. Yeah, it definitely could be a robbery. Could be a home invasion. Something along those lines. But it is unfolding. They have a lot of evidence. So I'm going to follow this one. This one's really interesting to me. So I'm going to take a look at it. They didn't give any details on that. So I'm sure it's an ongoing investigation. Like I said, this thing is fresh. This just happened on New Year's Day. So with that being said, we are going to jump right into the cold case portion of our news today. This is an unsolved case, and we'll let it speak for itself here.
While standing outside next to his girlfriend and her 9-year-old son. Fact Finder 12 investigator Alex Flippin re-examines the murder of Bishop Robles and hopes someone watching can help bring justice to the family he left behind.
It happened here, coming up on 6 years ago. 11:44 in the morning, officers responded
to a shots fired call in the 1200 block of North Fairfield. They found an individual who is later identified as Bishop Robles.
Bishop was shot multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital, but there was nothing to be done. He died, leaving behind a tragic final memory for family and friends, and Detective Michelle Palmer solve his murder.
His girlfriend was there on scene during the shooting. She witnessed the whole thing happen. She sees a vehicle coming down the street occupied by several different individuals. When one of them yelled out the window, "What do you claim?"
What set do you claim? A phrase to say, what gang do you belong to? An indicator to Palmer, Bishop's killers were gang members. So, is that why Bishop was killed? No, the detective says. She doesn't think so.
It was not with him targeted specifically because he is Bishop Robles. It makes me think that it was a little bit more spontaneous or more by happenstance from his location.
I spoke with members of the Robles family. They tell me Bishop was kind, helpful, loved music and working on cars. Sister tells me he'd give you his last dollar if he had one. But they didn't want to sit down for an interview, as they tell me they fear what might happen to them if they did.
Retaliation is a common fear that people have because we're worried about ourselves, we're worried about our families, we're worried about the little people in our families, that the children that don't have anything to do with these grown-up issues, and we're worried that something may happen to them based on the story that we tell.
Balmer says fear of retaliation has been a hindrance to the case from the start. Several people in the vehicle the shots were fired from, she says she knows people know who pulled the trigger. She just needs one person to step forward and tell her who it was.
Anybody that has information, even if it's something you may not think would be helpful, let us know about it. This family deserves justice. These people deserve to be held accountable for killing this human being that did not deserve to die in the way that he did.
For Fact Finder 12, I'm Alex Flippin.
Ophelia. Yeah, actually I do. I have some on the way. My wife put some stuff together. I can't wait. We got some a couple trucker hats and some hoodies. So they're really just samples right now. So I'm gonna present them to you guys and see if this is the kind of stuff you might like. Because I do have a large group that likes to support my channel. They like to come hang out, and they like what we do here. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we definitely don't try to shit on the names of people who have fallen or gone missing, or were found, like I said, in a wooded area. It's just shocking that these things can happen. This poor guy, Bishop Robles, he wasn't doing anything. He was literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And his entire family is destroyed completely. Yeah, the hoodies I think are like I think they're like an army green, and then they have my big logo, my big yellowish face with the hat logo, like a really big right on the front. Yeah, so we'll see how they turn out. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait till they come in. The trucker hats look really good. They're like what do you call that? So yeah, what's that called when like the design is sewn in? I don't know. I'm having like a brain fart right now. Yeah, Anna. Yeah, it could have been because it was super random. I mean, the dude did look like he was a young kid. He may have dressed a certain way, so you never know. Oh, hey, what's up, Captain? Okay. So I wanted to bring some attention to that case, just in case somebody, time passes, maybe this will spark a memory, hits you, that guilt. Sometimes that guilt can just hit you and you're just like, all right, I'm not afraid anymore. Time has gone by. Let me go ahead and let them know what I know. Anything, could be anything. You heard a scream, you heard somebody say what you heard they were quoted as saying. Just say something, you never know. All right. So this case here is Stephanie Isaacson. This is a cold case that was just solved, and they're going to kind of go into all the science. I love when I hear this. Like I said, we get caught up in the true crime, the sorrow and the sadness, and we forget the humanity behind it all. So when law enforcement does something good or science does something good and we can find closure, And sometimes it's not always what we want. You know, we want these victims to be able to look their assailant right in the eyes and say, hey, look, you are a POS. You know, you hurt my life, and now you're gonna rot in jail for it. You know, sometimes they don't get those opportunities, and unfortunately, both these cases will fall into that category. Let's take a look.
IT, a decades-old murder is solved with the help of DNA. A teenager murdered, now her killer named. If you have the 8 News Now app, you were first alerted to about this news this afternoon. Our I-Team's David Charnes joins us now in studio. And David, I understand they solved this case with the help of the killer's family?
Yeah, in a way, at least with their DNA. Investigators say DNA from one of those genealogy websites matched to some found decades ago on this 14-year-old's clothing. Back in June 1989, Stephanie Isaacson, who you see there, an El Dorado high school student, was walking to school when somebody strangled and sexually assaulted her, killing her and leaving her body. It wasn't until just a few weeks ago police identified her killer as Darren Marchand. Police say he had committed a murder in 1986 as well, but was actually released due to prosecutors just not having enough evidence in that first murder case. Marchand died by suicide in 1995, but a family member's DNA matched that from the Isaacson case. You're seeing video from the search for her back in 1989. Police say none of this could have happened without an anonymous donor who gave money to Metro to help solve cases with minimal DNA. Get this, in this case, the team had just 15 cells, 15 to work with.
We are not here without the work of our forensic laboratory. You talk about people that work in the background. When we talk about the success of the homicide section in this community, we are not successful without the work that our laboratory does.
In a statement provided by Metro, Isaacson's mother says it's good to have some closure, but there is no justice for Stephanie at all. That mother going on to say, we will never have complete closure because nothing will ever bring my daughter back to us. Now, Isaacson would be 46 years old today. Police tell me the attack on her, completely random. I'm David Charnes, 8 News Now.
So, just one moment. Okay, and this is what we're going to close it out with here. This is about a 14-year-old girl named Nicole Smith. This is a cold case. Any of you that are fans of the First 48 may actually be familiar with it. You may see some familiar faces. Hold on. That was really weird. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, everything just kind of froze up there for a minute. So give me a moment. Let me load this back up. What I was saying is this is a 14 case about a 14-year-old girl named Nicole Smith. If you are fans of the First 48, when the show first started, you may be familiar with this case. So you may see some familiar faces, some of my favorite detectives from that show. A couple of them actually pop up here. So, and this is how we're going to close out the show, and we'll have a discussion about this. And basically anything that you've seen today, we can just kind of close it out. But this is what the show's all about here. This case right here, this really made me happy. This is also a tearjerker. So that's your only warning.
Folk, the last name is W-O-O-L, F is in Frank, O-L-K, the homicide commander for the City of Atlanta Police Department. So we are here this morning to provide a significant update pertaining to the 1995 rape and murder of Nicole Smith. We have Nicole Smith's family, who is here with us today, who has been incredibly resilient, persistent, and relentless in working with our detectives in solving what's been a 26-year mystery to this point. Detectives have put forth a substantial amount of work. I think I've spoken previously as to the amount of work that goes into homicide investigations. Just from an evidence perspective, across the nation, about 147 hours goes into just a regular homicide investigative file. So you can imagine in a 26-year investigation as to how that number would be compounded. There are literally boxes and boxes and boxes of data and reports and evidence that has been analyzed as it pertains to this case, and certainly is a testament to the very hard work of some extremely skilled and experienced detectives in the Atlanta Police Department. And you're going to hear from some of them shortly. One of them being Vinny Vasquez, who is still a part of our Atlanta police family as a homicide detective. Vinny has worked hundreds of homicide investigations as the lead detective and has been a fundamental component to our successes here in the Atlanta Police Department in aiding as a foundation as to how we do work in our business here in the City of Atlanta Police Department. And one of the second that you will hear from is Detective DeMeester, who is on our current cold case team. He is also a very experienced detective within our homicide unit. Detective DeMeester has led and spearheaded hundreds of investigations as it pertains to homicides as well. So this has just been a culmination of extremely skilled and experienced detectives that have put forth some great work in being able to get us to this resolution today. So I'm going to let you hear from him. We're going to start first with one of the first responding officers that was on scene at the time in which this incident occurred. Thanks.
Yes, my name is Detective Reginald Boone, and I responded that day to the scene. But more importantly, we have to look at the Atlanta Police Department as a whole. The detectives and the officers, everybody who has touched this case has stuck with it for the full length, the 26 years. I remember coming back out to the scene that night after I got off from work, and I worked with Detective Thomas Townsley, who was the first detective for this case. And we stayed out in the woods digging holes, looking for evidence all of that night. And then he worked the case up until the time he died back in 2017. But all these other detectives, Vince Velasquez, Calhoun, you can name them, have put their heart and souls into this case. And it just goes to show you how committed the Atlanta Police Department is to solving cases. And it's not just a number to us, it's something that we put our hearts and souls into every time we work a case.
Good morning. Vince Velasquez, retired Atlanta PD homicide. I think what would be helpful is to put these cases in perspective, I think, so everybody understands how this began. So June 7th, 1995, Nicole Smith, 14 years old, is walking to school in the morning with her sister, forgets something, turns around to go back home, takes a cut through the woods, and she's confronted by a man in the woods who brutally assaults her, rapes her, and shoots her 2 times in the face and kills her. So this investigation was massive. in 1995. The Atlanta Police Department pulled out all stops. They interviewed hundreds of people. They brought 2 recruit classes out to canvass the neighborhood, and they ended up taking blood samples from at least 50 people. There is a DNA profile that was obtained in 1995. So this case went cold, as some cases do, and we're no stranger to that. So in 2002, I reopened this case on my own. I started looking at it to see what I could do to interview people to breathe some life into this case. I was unsuccessful for 2 years. 2004, we get a call. We have a forensic match. So what that means is someone assaulted a young girl in East Point, Georgia, 13 years old, exactly 9 years and 13 days later. As a result of that, another profile was obtained, and we have a forensic match. So that means Nicole's killer was back. So to put in perspective what we did, not just as a unit, but as the DA's office and the cold case squad collectively, we aired this on national TV, America's Most Wanted. We put a billboard up at Greenbrier with the suspect's composite, because this rape victim now could tell us what he looks like. Many of you have seen the composite. Black male, round glasses, gap tooth. So we put a lot of effort into trying to identify this person. My time came to an end in 2017. I was unsuccessful in solving this case. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars testing DNA, traveled around the country, interviewed hundreds of people. But upon my retirement, I passed this case on to Detective DeMeester, who took my role in the complex cold case squad when I left. I've been in constant contact with him since then. Myself and my team, we took this football as far as downfield as we could. We could not do anything else with it. This guy right here, Scott DeMeester, scored the touchdown. So there's a lot of science, there's a lot of technology involved, and let him come up and explain that. But if you've ever seen a case that the Atlanta Police Department put any effort into, this was it. This case has not died. As you can see, the family's here. It's a very emotional time for them. But not only were we in constant contact with Nicole's mother, we were also in constant contact with the rape victim. East Point Police are here. They represent that investigation, but we have been working this jointly, East Point and Atlanta PD, since 2004. So I think right now, I think Scott should come up and explain the science. And if you have any questions later, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Good morning. My name is Scott DeMeester, common spelling Scott, last name spelled D-E-M-E-E-S-T-E-R. I'm a homicide detective, assigned to the cold case squad here for City of Atlanta Police Department. Just a little context, I'm 3 months older than Nicole. I was a freshman in high school when this happened, so I was unaware of this when this incident occurred. But when I came into the homicide unit in 2010, talking with the veterans like Vinny and A.B. Calhoun, David Quinn, Brett Zimbrick, Nicole's case constantly came up. So obviously when Vinny left and all of the seasoned cold case detectives retired and left, I took that torch. I was always looking for new ways, new potential investigative leads. To piggyback on what Vinny said, yeah, Vinny retired, Boone retired, but they would constantly call in and check in on the case. Always looking for new investigative leads, started to look into the possibility of trying to identify the suspect utilizing genealogy and ancestry databases. The command staff at the Atlanta Police Department, the mayor's office, they made the financial commitment to allow us to do that with the help from some outside genealogy. It took a little over 3 years, but we were able to develop a person of interest. We were able to obtain a sample of his DNA from some evidence that we had, and got word just after Christmas that the GBI forensics lab was able to match his DNA profile to the DNA profile obtained in Nicole's investigation and the unsolved rape of the victim in East Point. And to piggyback off what Vinny said, a lot of effort from a lot of people from 95 until today, you know, to include several detectives in the Atlanta Police Department. Deputy Chief Poplin from East Point's not here, but he played a crucial role in this investigation as well, working with his victim. And like I said, it was a support from a lot of people. I would not have been able to do what I did without help from a lot of people. I was just glad to be able to make that phone call to Miss Smith. It was an emotional phone call. But hopefully with this information, it'll hopefully be able to bring some closure and some peace to Nicole and Nicole's family and the community in Zone 4, Southwest Atlanta. Thank you.
Thank you. So once again, you can see just the incredible persistence and the resilience and just the relentless follow-through, not only from these detectives, but also a family that's endured something like this for 26 years. We can only imagine as to how that might feel today to being able to get some type of answers as to what has happened here. Our detectives, once again, have worked in partnership with a number of external entities to bring today possible. This would not have been possible without the collaborative efforts of East Point, without our collaboration and partnership, our current partnership with the District Attorney's Office, as well as some additional external partnerships as well. We are going to bring forth the family at this time to provide some insights, if you're willing, ma'am.
Good morning. And this is a hard one for me.
Miss Smith, I just want to let you know that I'm sorry that we had to meet under these circumstances.
It's okay.
But I feel like we didn't get the closure that we needed, but we got some kind of resolution. Okay? And I'm just thankful for you.
Let me say a couple words. So I just want to just put this in perspective. So this is Betty Brown. This is our victim from East Point. They have formed a connection over the years, and she was 13 years old at the time, but as you can see, it's a very emotional time. And, you know, kudos for her for being brave enough to stand up here, express how she feels, and connect with Nicole's mom. I think that's the most important story here. And I think this sends a message to the community that we don't give up. 26 years, it could have been 36, you know, until I took my last breath. I was going to work this case. So was Demeester, so was Adrian Love, so was East Point, everybody that's here today. So you've probably seen me with her over the years a lot. We have done a lot of stuff together. Obviously not Ms. Brown, because we keep our victims' names private. But she is no stranger to the camera, you know, and I think, you know, she understands how hard we worked, but we did it because of her. I don't know how many times she's called me in the middle of the night, am I lying? And yelled at me. We stopped talking to each other so many times. We became friends again, and now we're like, we call each other brother and sister. But go ahead.
It's like Doug Carter.
Today for me is a bittersweet moment. I never imagined this person to be deceased. So many unanswered questions that I had for him that I could never answer or get answers. But I would never say it was closure for me, because I'll live with this pain for the rest of my life. Just taking one day at a time. Those are my plans. Just much more. Nothing much I can say right now. My feelings is just all over the place. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. But I tell you, I'm in so much pain. And it's not a pill could take that pain away. I'm sorry that I didn't get a chance.
Damn. She kills it.
I never thought that I will be here speaking. I don't even know what to say. This has been a part of my life that I have hidden for a while because I just did not want to live in that pain anymore. But I'm here. I'm not okay with the situation on how long it took us to get here, but I'm happy that I'm finally here. That he's no longer out there able to do the things to me and Nicole, to others. I'm so conflicted because on one hand, I want to rise above, appreciate it that you respect it. There's something so horrible to me and Nicole, and I want you to live in that. I want you to wear that like I did, like I do every day of my life. I want you to wear that. You know, it's bittersweet. This is a bittersweet moment. And I'm mad that I didn't get that opportunity to face him, to look him in his eyes and have him look at me and relive and to face me. But I just have to take what I've been given. And I thank you, Detective Velasquez and Detective Papa, for sticking with me all these years and checking on me to make sure that I'm okay.
Yeah, that's real. Yep. Boom, right at the hour mark. We got 2 minutes. So if the chat, if you got anything to say, any questions you want to ask me, anything, we're open. I do have some food on the way, but it's a little ways out, so all right. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a follow-up on that Benjamin Anderson, that stuff out of Phoenix, Arizona. Man, that's just too crazy what happened there. And the way that they almost caught the killers and the way the killers got away without being identified. I mean, it's insane. It doesn't even seem possible. So stay tuned for that. I'm working on something real big for PTSD and communications with some professionals. And there's a little bit of a scheduling conflict right now. So once we get that all sorted out, hopefully we can get them on as a guest, and then we can take some callers from the chat. Anybody that might be suffering from PTSD or live with a family or friend or just want to share an experience with us, or even just basic information. Yeah, let me know. Sure, Philia. Any correspondence is welcomed. I just appreciate you guys all being here, really. I mean, I took the time to kind of watch all these videos and put them together, kind of so you don't have to. I do it anyway. I like to stay up to date on what's going on around me, what's going on in the world. I do a lot of political stuff too, but I keep that separated from this channel. This is really more of a Delphi dedicated channel to the double homicide, of Abby and Libby. We try to stay focused on that, but a lot of the true crime news provides insight into what we may be dealing with, and it seems to be that could possibly be the case. So we're still working on a real special guest. We're not going to talk about this person. We're not going to bring him up, but I think it's better if we hear, from this person's mouth. So if we can get them, hopefully tomorrow. I've been doing my best to get this taken care of. This will be a fully dedicated Delphi show. This guest will be somebody that everybody is familiar with as of late. So we'll see how that goes. But on that note, I want to thank everybody. People that donated today to the show, thank you so much. You really don't have to do it. You guys are grown. Nobody should be telling you what you can and cannot do and how you should donate. If it happens to be to me, I appreciate it, but I don't need it. Anything that you donate will go back into this channel, and we'll try to do some cool stuff. That much I can promise.